Okay, so here we have the Transformers Back to the Future 35th anniversary Gigawatt in some of the most amazing looking packaging I have ever seen in my entire life. On the front here we have the crossover artwork. We have his name in the old style font there. Again, this is for 8s and upwards. A nice piece of character art here featuring Gigawatt with the clock tower in the background. The DeLorean itself here, you can just make out some of the accessories in there. There's some nice artwork inside the box which you can't see very well from the front, so hopefully when we open this up you'll be able to see it much more easily. On the top we can see the old style progression sequence of transformation. Notice the wheels are in flight position in this first picture here. The side of the box has the DeLorean reversing out of the car transporter from the original movie. The other side has again Gigawatt himself there. Looking at his watch, I'm intrigued to see if he actually has a watch on his wrist. We'll look into that later. And it shows the DeLorean there with the conductor rod. Did it actually have an official name, this piece? I don't know. Bottom of the box has your usual warning labels, recycling labels, and a nice little piece here of the robot again. And the back of the box, which everyone came to see, is fantastic. Has the Back to the Future logo there, the DeLorean, the Transformers logo here, looking very clean. And we also have some old school style tech specs. Now, you don't need a decoder to read that, because that is very obvious to my eye, unless I have a red filter on, but I don't think you'll actually need one. And there he is, the Autobot Gigawatt. His function is a time traveler, and his quote is, "You're never out of time when you're a time machine." When Marty and Doc Brown need a ride through time, Gigawatt is ready to fly, as opposed to be a time machine. Anyway, let's open this guy up. Get my trusty knife, and it looks like you're supposed to open it here, like the car transporter. I'll just give that a little tease across there, and it should open like the car transporter itself, unless we've made any wrong moves. There we go. Let's open the panels up here. Oh, it's exposed more of the artwork there. Very nice. A triangular piece. Slide her out. Move that over there. And what do we get in our box then? We have the figure, an accessory, and another accessory down there. We'll return to this in a moment. We have this lovely looking piece of art here, just showing a DeLorean with flux capacitor, 1.21 gigawatts over here. This isn't actually legible. Oh yes, it is. If you are considering a car in the luxury class, then take a careful look at this detailed imperial blueprint something. It explains a few of the engineering reasons that make Imperial the incomparable luxury car 1985, and I cannot read the other phrases. The body of the Imperial something is step something. No, that is not legible to my old eyes. Some of you may be able to read that, but I, however, cannot. Anyway, I like this box insert. I think it's very snazzy. Moving on, we have our typical parts warning, small parts warning from around the world. Always says the same old thing, don't need to see much more of that. And then there's an instruction manual. with a lovely looking front cover there. Again, it's not a book style. There's no staple in there. This is another fold out pamphlet. It shows us how to transform our Gigawatt. Now, how is it, Gigawatt or Gigawatt? You can all argue in the comments below. I'm not 100% sure. So there appear to be 17 steps for transformation for this guy. It shows you also where to store your weapons when not in use, which is always important. Weapon storage is always very important. Nice concise instructions and a nice picture again of the DeLorean on the back there. So, the moment we were all waiting for, the car itself feels quite a weighty piece. Tied in with these rubber tabby things again. I don't think the gun is, and this conductor rod also is tied in. Let's see if we can get those out without causing a problem. One little snip there. Another little snip there, and we should be free. There we go. One car. One very flexible conductor rod there. I suppose it has to be flexible. And the weapon, which came out in 2 parts. And the clamshell there. So here is the weapon, and it has a bit on the back which I don't know how to attach. That's the Mr. Fusion device, that goes on the top of the car. I might need to look at the artwork to see how this weapon actually attaches. It goes on the back somehow. Oh, there we go. It's quite easy. Somehow a square peg or a round peg fit in a square hole. Interesting. So that is that. And again, this conductor rod I spoke to you about a few minutes ago. Very flexible. You might be able to catch a fish with this, perhaps. Gigawatt's fishing rod. And last but not least, the car itself. Looking very nice there. Quite a nice heft and weight to this one, I have to admit. And there is his face underneath. Oh, and the very important flux capacitor. So that is the unboxing for Gigawatt. We will be progressing on to the reviews and showcases soon and the transformation phases, so please stick around. Please make sure to subscribe and like this video, and we'll see you again soon in the next part. Okay, so this is Transformers Gigawatt. We're going to start in alt mode for his review today, because alt mode is the mood. Alt mode is the mood. Alt mode is the mode that he comes in when you purchase him. So let's begin. So Gigawatt is a DeLorean car, famous from the Back to the Future movie. He comes with a couple of accessories you can see here. I'm going to pull these off. One is the conductor rod, which they use to conduct the electricity, and the other is the futuristic Mr. Fusion device, which you can see there, along with my filthy fingernails. This thing likes to pop off at any opportunity. This does not attach well at all. If you turn it sideways, it seems to attach better than if you attach it correctly. Managed to get it to stay there, but one little knock and it's off. So here we can see the front and top of the car. I think it looks absolutely wonderful. Here it is from the side. It's quite well put together. We have a strange angle maybe on the front. Maybe the bonnet needs to lift up a bit flatter perhaps.
Not sure if that bend is on everybody's, but you absolutely cannot complain. The paint apps are very nice indeed. We have these like circuit board colours here. They've done a good job colouring in the red and the green there. Never noticed these in the movie. Bright green this side and a lovely red and blue colour on this side. The number plate outer time has been painted along with the rear lights, which look very nice indeed. And I think this front section here is painted a different silver. They did not bother painting the front lights. Some nice little silver bits here. These are very small details, very nice there on the side above the wheels. The other sculpted details are very nice indeed. We have these wire and gubbins section around the back. These capacitor tops. Does anyone know what these things actually are from the Back to the Future movie? Because I certainly do not. These exhaust vents here, as I call them. There's a lot of depth in those holes. And the wheels are also very nicely sculpted. I do like those. There's no weird bits or hollow holes, only the hole there for the conductor rod, as I told you about earlier. That fits in there. Gives you the look from the first Back to the Future movie. I think it looks a lot better off. I think you will agree. They have the nice brushed aluminium effect from the actual cars. They've done a really nice job of this. Feels like a very legitimate texture there. And like I said before, all these wires on the side here, which have been sculpted or stuck on, also look very nice indeed. Any weird bits sticking out that shouldn't be there from the side? It doesn't look too bad. You can see these bits here, part of the arms from the front. You can see his weapon, which you put in underneath, but looks okay. And the shins also hang a little low on the back of the car, but we cannot really complain. Not many gaps. Like I said before, there's a weird wonky bit on the front, but I think that's just how it's designed. You can nip up those little gaps there. The back section obviously has a large gap down the middle, but it's as good as you would expect from a figure of this size and price point. Moving parts, we have the wheels, and they clearly roll very well. We're not going to be complaining about these wheels. Anyway, let's transform this. Have a look at bot mode. Okay, so let's transform this Transformers Gigawatt Back to the Future crossover. The first step you have to do is turn the car over and then undo these little flaps here on the bottom. They are quite stiff, however they do feel nice to open. Step 2, we turn the car back over and we open those famous gull wing doors. Nice and easy, I think you will agree. Step 3, we open up the back of the car, much like an old G1 Transformer. And then step 4, we turn the bottom around at the waist, like so. Step 5, we pull apart his legs and open his legs up wide. Now in step 6, we turn it over again, and this is a weird one. You have to sort of push these exhaust vents down, like so. Hard to explain. And then for step 7, you will see that it's actually moved the foot, or the feet, I should say, and then we just flatten these off. Now, first time I did that, I actually pulled those feet completely off, so you don't want to do that. Step 8, a nice easy one, is we just close these shin flaps back up. You always want to keep your shin flaps shut. Now step 9, this is an interesting one. We turn the wheels into flight mode. Hard to explain. And you'll see why in a moment. Because it does something really strange. Now that one's already done it. It's easier to do step 9 and 10 at the same time because you actually turn them into flight mode and then turn them again. So really, you're doing a full 180 with the wheels there. There's one hinge and then another hinge. So sometimes you don't know which hinge you've actually hinged. Now step 11 is you fold these really small little flaps down. Careful with these because I almost snapped these off the first time I had it. They look very delicate. Look how small they are. Interesting little flaps. Now for step 12 we open his arms up outside like so. Careful it doesn't catch on the doors behind. Nice and easy. And then for step 13 we open up his fists. Now interestingly they're not completely closed inside the wrists there. They are at like a 45-degree angle. But there we go. That was easy to do. Looking very skinny there now, isn't he? Anyway, next up, here's where it gets a bit weird. We flip the bonnet down, or the hood for those of you in America. And we're only meant to flip it down to here. Because in step 15 we have to flip this awkward, now I can never remember which way this flips, that way, the flux capacitor panel over, like so. Just make sure it is actually snapped into position. The next step, we close the hood down and we'll put that tab into that hole there. Should be a nice fit. There we go. Nice snap noise there. Now step 17 is we're going to pull the hood out again accidentally. Get back in there. We're going to put the arms in. Now this is an interesting one. Don't know if you can see this. We've got to put that flat tab there inside the hole in the arm sockets, which you can't see very well. But hopefully it'll make more sense as I do this. So I'm not sure why. This is why your wheels have to be completely down. There we go. We'll just push that onto there. And the other side, that tab into the notch, like so. A little awkward, but I think you might be able to see that all lined up in there and in there. If your wheels aren't completely transformed correctly, then you will get a bit of fouling on that, and that'll prevent you from shutting those properly. Anyway, so that is it for the transformation. All you do after that is add his accessories. Now, you get a couple. You get his gun. And the Mr. Fusion device, which slots on the top of the gun and doesn't stay very well at all. You'll find this thing pings off continuously. It's actually easier if it goes on the side like that. And of course, his hook, his conductor hook. I think that's the name of it. That's what I'm going to call it anyway, the conductor hook. And it falls off. Should fit nicely. Get in there. So there we go. Gigawatt is now transformed. Okay, so here we have our Gigawatt in bot mode. We can see his interesting head. I do quite like his head sculpt. And you will notice that mine has some of the worst paint apps ever on that eye. But I think that just creates more character to the model. Maybe the painter was drunk that day. Here you can see him from the front, the side, So I prefer to close my doors a little bit. From the back, from the top, and I know some of you like to see from the bottom. The paint taps again, apart from the eyes, are done quite well. The silver again, crosshair looks good. I think the flux capacitor in there is a separate coloured piece. There are not many other paint apps really to pay attention to that we haven't seen rather from the alt mode. All in all, he looks pretty good, to be fair. I just hope yours comes with a more well painted eye there. The sculpted detail on bot mode is quite good. We have some nice detail on the forearms here. Put his weapon to one side, which you can see. You can see his legs have some interesting detail, and his feet. Now, does he have any weird kibble or backpack? I suppose you could maybe count these wings as maybe a backpack or kibble, but I think they add to the character of the figure. Let's have a look at the joints now. His head turns nicely from side to side, ever a little stiff. Has very minor forward and back motion. The arms spin all the way around, come out to the side. I'll remove this piece. They also turn at the shoulder there. We have 90-degree angles at the elbow there. The wrists do not turn, as they just turn inwards as part of the transformation. So he can do that. He can play the circle game. Has full 360-degree rotation at the waist. His legs are on... Yep, they can do a full 360 just about. So they can do the splits. You can do the blood sport pose. The knee almost goes back 90 degrees, but it does overextend forward. There's no other turning at the knee or shin, and the ankle rocks inward, or is that outward? You tell me. And the toes don't bend down, although I did pull them off when I tried to do this earlier. Now, I know some of you are interested in the weight of these figures, so if we just zero that, put him on there, we can see that Gigawatt is 95 grams compared to cliff jumpers with weapon 58 grams. If you wanted a quick side-by-side size comparison, there you go. Looks quite nice there. You can see that Gigawatt is a little bit bigger than the cliff jumper figure. Now, what accessories does he come with? He comes with his conductor hook, as we call it, which is a very flimsy piece, which I wasn't expecting, which he's supposed to have in car form, and you can attach to these points around the body, such as on his wrist here, another one on the shoulder, and he might be able to carry it. Can he do this? Am I being terrible? Like a fishing rod. Do excuse my poor posing. He's a little stiff, this guy. There we go. A fishing rod. Or maybe a shepherd's hook. The other accessory is the gun, which is quite nicely detailed. I'll show you that close up. Which has a few hollow areas, but is a nice sculpt. The barrel is open, which is always very important, and the attached Mr. Fusion device, which I think is supposed to clip on the top, but seems to pop off very easily. I would imagine this piece gets lost first. If you lose anything off your Gigawatt, doesn't even fit that way. Likes to fit better sideways, but probably doesn't look as good sideways. But that is subjective, so I'll probably hide that thing up so it doesn't get lost.